What's up, chat? Today we're tier listing the CS2 knives, but we're not tier listing them based off how good they are as knives. We're basing them both off two factors: how good they are as knives and how effective they are for the price. So, for example, a kukri knife, I would normally give a B tier, all right? But the thing is since it's a relatively cheap knife, I'm going to give it an A tier because it's more cost effective. Do you understand how this works? Do you understand how this works? So I'm doing this because I already made a tier list based off which I think are the best knives, which you can check out. It's a lit video. But let's get into it, man. So we already ranked the kukri knife. And the Falchion knife is something I want to talk about. Because the Falchion knife is something where it's actually a really cheap knife for a lot of finishes, you know what I mean? This is a really cheap knife, and the thing that I like about it is it has all these interesting animations. So let's say you're a butterfly knife enjoyer, right? You know, and you like the animations of the butterfly knife, you can basically just get this, and it has like the same kind of animations, you know what I mean? Like it's got the spinniness of like the butterfly knife. So I think it's actually a pretty solid option, you know what I mean? For you animation enjoyers. And since it's so cheap, I'm going to give it an S tier for how good it is for its price. Like, I'm that serious about it. The only thing is that I want to point out about it before, you know, people consider buying it is that the only thing is whatever you finish you get, it's honestly gonna look, you're not gonna have too much of the knife part on your screen in game, you know? This is a very small amount of knife you get. And hold up, before we continue, I want to put the big three at the last part of the video real quick, so that we get to go through the big three. Where's the butterfly knife too? I guess it's kind of the big four. Okay, let's do it. All right, let's continue. Okay, so we got the bayonet. So this is the this is just the M9's like this lives in the shadow of the M9. But that being said, it's actually not bad for the price. Like, if you're a M9 enjoyer and you really like the like just the style of the M9, you know, this is actually a really good option for you. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the bayonet is something which, like, I actually ran for a bit. It's when I didn't have enough money for like an M9 bayonet lore. I was running just a normal bayonet, you know what I mean? But I feel like the thing is that you know, it has good animations. It looks good. It's a really good knife for the price. Like, for the price, this is probably one of the best knives out there. So I'm gonna throw this an A tier above the kukri knife. Next up, we've got the flip knife, and I'm gonna get a little controversial here because a lot of people argue that this is one of the you know, kind of good knives, based off like the based off just like its price point, I guess, right? But I'm gonna argue, I don't know, man. Something about this knife, even though it is kind of, here, let me shrink my face cam a little bit so you guys can see the knives better. But something about this knife, even though it is kind of cheap, people argue it's like just good as a normal knife. I actually don't like it that much. I don't like it that much. I don't know. People argue that the curve is really nice on it. I don't know, man. I'm gonna put it B tier though. But normally I probably would have ranked this lower. I probably, like, just in terms of knife quality, probably like C or D tier. You know what I mean? What is this music, bro? It's too violin-y, bro. Freak this. All right, let's lock back in. Hold up, my bad, chat. All right, okay. So yeah, a B tier in terms of everything. You know what I mean? Next up, we've got the gut knife. Now the gut knife, I've said before in my videos, it's kind of grown on me. It's not like a bad knife. It's just not like a great knife either. The thing that I do like about it though, is it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it just has like, I don't know, it has so much aura to it. It's like big. You see a lot of your finish, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's kind of unique, you know? You see a lot of the finish on it, and you know, I feel like that's worth something, you know? You see as much finish as like the M9 bayonet, but it's not M9. Let's be real. But it is pretty cheap, you know what I mean? If you want yourself a nice little knife, you could definitely run with one of these things. So I'm gonna give this a higher B tier than the flip knife, actually. And that's gonna catch some hate, but I don't care, bro. All right, next up, we've got the Huntsman. Now, the Huntsman knife, people also don't understand, but I'm actually a huge advocate for the Huntsman knife. I really do like this knife. It's big in game. Like, look at this. Look at this. You can't tell me this doesn't look nice. This looks really nice. You see, and something about the Huntsman knife that I want to point out is you see the finish on the handle even. Like, it like bleeds through the handle in a way. I think it's a really good budget knife, and if you're a fan of just like the default knife and the default knife animations, this basically just has the default knife animations. Really solid knife. I'm gonna put this actually A tier above Kukri again. Next up, we've got the Shadow Daggers. And despite any Shadow Dagger enjoyers out there, I hate to break it to you, and this is probably the one thing that I think everybody can agree on, is that Shadow Daggers, low-key, they're kind of just not it. Let's be honest, bro. The animations are kind of cooked, you know, just overall D tier, even though they are cheap. Even though they are cheap, if it wasn't for their price, it would be an F tier. You know what I mean? Since we're basing this a little bit off price, they're going D tier because they are cheap. Let's not you know, take away from the fact that they're cheap. Next up, we've got the Bowie knife. And this is something I'm kind of passionate about because I think the Bowie knife has really good animations. Like, look at this pullout. It looks really nice. You see a lot of the blade here, you know what I mean? So once again, if you're the enjoyer of like the finish on the knife, like let's say I wanted a Bowie fade, you can get a Bowie fade for 500 bucks or 400 bucks, man. And that's not bad compared to like some of the prices of the other knives that are out there right now. Like, this is a really solid option. You see a lot of the knife. Very, very cool. This is actually going to go S tier, above the Falchion. Next up, vanilla knife. You know, let's rate them. Let's rate them, bro. Let's rate the vanilla knives. Vanilla CT knife. These are literally free. I actually do like the CT knife. I think the CT knife looks very nice. I'm actually going to put this, let's see. I mean, price point A tier, like genuinely, it's free. It's actually a good knife. I would love to see a case that has skins for like the default knife. You know what I mean? Like, imagine this with like a Doppler on it or like a fade. That would look so sick. And then I don't like the wooden handle as much for the T knife. I just don't like the T knife as much. It doesn't have as much blade. But in price efficiency, I'm gonna put it above flip knife. Actually, no. I do like the flip knife better. I do like it better. It has a cooler kind of style to it than this. You know, it has the animation and everything. But I do stand on this. I do really actually like the default knife. But imagine if we had default knife skins. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking like Doppler, Tiger Tooth on this. Like, Tiger Tooth will look so sick on that. Anyways, next up, we've got the Paracord knife. And I used to own a couple of these things. And honestly, there's nothing more mid than the Paracord knife. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's appropriately mid. But it is cheap. Let's throw it like C tier. You know what I mean? Next up, we've got the survival knife, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so my opinions on the survival knife is kind of similar to the opinions I have of the Huntsman knife. I guess its animations are a little cooler if you respect that. But other than that, not much difference, you know what I mean? Same kind of blade size, same like type of handle almost. I feel like they're just pretty much equivalent, except for this one's blade isn't as big, so I'm gonna put it really high B tier. I think it's solid. I don't know what knife that is. I don't know why that's on here. If someone wants to tell me the lore of that, that would be great. Anyways, let's move on. Classic knife. I used to own a classic knife fade, so we'll examine this. I thought I would like it more than I did. But just something about how odd the shape of the classic knife is. I enjoyed the fade part. I did like having a fade knife. I just didn't like the weird shape of the classic knife. You know what I mean? And I get that for like, you know, if you're a Counter-Strike enjoyer, maybe the default classic knife with just the default finish might be kind of a nice little nostalgia for you, but I just don't see it, man. But it is good for the price, I won't lie. They give it a respectable B tier, maybe below flip knife. Next up, oh my gosh, we've got the Navaja knife. And this knife gets a lot of hate. And I'm not going to sit here and say the hate is unwarranted. Okay, I'm not going to say the hate is unwarranted. But it doesn't have horrible animations. I kind of like the marbled handle. You know what I mean? And in terms of price, this is as cheap as it gets. You know what I mean? You can have, if you're just somebody who cares about the finishes, you can have a Doppler for $229, you know what I mean? You could have a fade for $187, you know what I mean? Like, Very cheap, very cheap. Gonna go in B tier, maybe above the classic knife here. Next up, we've got the Nomad knife. And let's see. Let's get the tiger tooth out. I feel like the tiger tooth looks very good on the Nomad knife. The Nomad knife is very cool. I actually like it. I like the animations. Very cool knife. The only problem I have with it, you don't see much of the blade. But it is, once again, just a mid-tier, cheaper kind of knife, which is respectable, dude. Very respectable. So, we're gonna put this thing... Wow, we have a lot of B tiers, huh? You know, let's do a bit of reorganizing, guys. Let's do a bit of reorganizing, because we gotta assign an F tier. We gotta start moving things down a little bit, okay? We're gonna you know, I actually agree with this more. These are respectably C tier mid. You know what I mean? Anyways, and we can put this slow key back here. There we go. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. I think that's a lot better. Yeah, that gives us more room. Okay. Nomad knife. Back to it. Solid knife. I do like it. I'm not going to lie to you. I do enjoy it. But like I said, is it the best knife? No. Is it a good cheap knife? Yes, it's a good mid-tier knife. You know what I mean? You can get this thing for pretty cheap. Let's put this one B tier as well. Next up, skeleton knife. We're getting into a little bit pricier range. You know what I mean? Like, you can't necessarily get a super cheap skeleton knife nowadays, which is you know, it's a shame. But that doesn't change the fact that they look really nice. They do look really nice. But the thing is, they're not for me. I just don't like the fidget spinner animation, you know. I kind of don't like this normal inspect. I don't know, something about it. I just don't like it. I can understand why people do, though, you know what I mean? I could understand somebody putting this in A tier. Me personally, I'm going to put it... We'll put it top of B tier. I'm not going to say I hate it. I just don't enjoy it that much. Next up, Stiletto. Now, this is our upper end kind of like mid-tier knives, you know what I mean? So this is something that I really do like. I was originally a stiletto hater, but one of my friends actually put me onto them, and I think they look really, really nice, actually. The only thing is that you don't see a lot of your finish because it's just a smaller knife in nature, but it is actually just a solid knife. Like, I'm not gonna hate on it, man. So good. It really does look good. Even the handle goes well with some of these finishes, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Something about it, man. Something about it. S tier. Maybe just behind the Bowie. I actually am a big Bowie glazer. Next. I caught a lot of hate, okay? I made a video where I said, it was pretty recently, where I showed off my my loadout, which is the Ursus knife with these gloves. Got a lot of hate for it. I like the combo. People caught it butt. But the point I'm trying to bring out, I really do like the Ursus knife. I think it's one of the best knives for the price point, hence why I have one. It actually has really good animations if you go in game. You know, it has like your spinny animations for ADHD kids. But it also just has like, I don't know, it has an aura to it, you know. It's like boxy. It feels like very clean, you know what I mean? I feel very clean when I'm using this thing. I don't feel like it has a weird like blade shape like the classic knife. I'm gonna put this one let's see. In terms of price point, let me explain. This is the normal bayonet. I think it's a little more expensive than the Ursus. So if I were gonna buy a bayonet tiger tooth or an Ursus tiger tooth, I would choose the Ursus tiger tooth, which is why I have an Ursus tiger tooth. I'm just putting it out there because it's cheaper and it looks about the same in my opinion. But here we go. This is where we're gonna cause some controversial opinions here. Really controversial. Talon knife. And this is where things get insane. This is where things really do get insane. Talon knife. So, the Talon knife is like a low high-end skins, all right? And this thing is expensive, but it is not as expensive as some of the other knives we have left. And that being said, it's about as comparable. It's like very comparable to a Karambit, you know what I mean? And somebody actually told me you do see more of the blade on the Talon is actually bigger than the Karambit. It's actually very weird. But I feel like you see more on the Karambit, but the blade is actually bigger on the Talon when you're like inspecting it. But anyways, point being, it is very similar animations. And honestly, I like the handle of the Talon better than the Karambit. I'm just going to say it. However, just in terms of looks, I do think the Karambit is better for the record. However, I'm going to put this in S tier. Top of S tier. I think it is the best knife for the price that you can get. Like, seriously, if you had a budget of $2,000 to get a knife, I would pick something on the high end of a Talon. You know what I mean? Like, budget-wise and looks-wise, it is the best type of knife you can get. I stand on that. You know what I mean? And, you know, people might hate me for that. I don't care. I stand on it. I will own one of these things again one day. Once I have enough money, I'll probably swap out my Ursus knife for this Talon. You know what I mean? But next up, we gotta rate the Karambit, which I do think is a better skin than the Talon. Let me put that out there. I do think it is a better skin than the Talon, but pay attention to this. Remember, this video is off of price. The Talon fade is $1,500. If we go to a Karambit, the Karambit fade is going to be $4,000. $4,000. And remember, the Karambit, in my opinion, does look better. I do objectively think the Karambit looks better than the Talon. I do really think that. However, for the price, it's ridiculously more expensive. In terms of how good they are for the price, if you want a good Karambit, you better be rich. I'm going to put it top of B tier. Because even though this is my favorite knife in the game, let me be clear. For the price, it is not good. It is not good. Unless you're Jeff Bezos, you are not buying a Karambit anytime soon. Alright, next up, we've got the M9 Bayonets. The M9 Bayonet is honestly just a solid knife. Really solid knife. Probably, I think it is just objectively better than the Bayonet, you know what I mean? It looks nice, it does huge animation. You see all the finish, you know, it's just so good. It's just so good. You can't take away from it. However, the elephant in the room, it is pricey, man. Really pricey. However, it's not as ridiculously as expensive as, for example, the Karambits, which we just reviewed. You can see, you know, if you want a fade bayonet, you know, you can get one for a good $2,000. That's not cheap, man. That's not cheap. I'm going to put it middle. You know, I'm going to put it behind here because I'm just going to be honest, bro. If you're looking strictly at price, dude, I would rather pay $1,000 less and have a bayonet fade than pay an extra $1,000 just for the bayonet fade, you know, given I'm on like a budget, you know what I mean, which is kind of what this, you know, video is about, is which knives you can kind of get and which ones are the best for their price, you know what I mean? So next up, this is where you guys are going to get incredibly mad, and I don't care because my opinion is the right opinion. All your opinions are wrong. You can see here the butterfly knife is just out of this world expensive. And I'm not going to lie, if you saw my tier list where I was just ranking the butterfly knife off of like how it looks, I said its animations are nice, which is objectively true. However, you see this much of the knife. That is a very small amount of the finish you're actually seeing when you're playing the game, you know what I mean? And I get you're going to be spinning it, but that still doesn't mean you see a large amount of the finish. But if we go to an M9 bayonet, look, for comparison, this is the blade here. This is how small it is. You go to a lore, and you're going to see this much of the skin. Are you kidding me? Like, in my opinion, it's almost like a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So in my tier list, where I ranked the best knives, I put Karambit as the #1 best knife. I put Bayonet as the 2nd best knife. But then I put Butterfly in A tier. But because of how ridiculously expensive butterfly knives are, like ridiculously, like look at this. Ain't nobody paying $5,000 just so they can have a fade butterfly knife. You know what I mean? If you do, respect to you. Respect to you. And if you enjoy this, respect to you. You know, it's still a good knife. I'm not taking away from it. But I'm not paying $5,000 for a Doppler, for a Doppler, you know, Gamma Doppler freaking knife. Even though it does look nice, I would rather have a bayonet, for the price, So, ooh. The only thing I'm debating is, do I want to go lower? It's so expensive for the knife. It is so expensive. Yeah, that's, you know, call it rage bait. I don't care. That is where I'm putting it. I honestly believe that, because here's the thing. Would you rather be the guy with $5,000 in his bank account, or just a solid freaking wooden knife? I'm just saying, dude. Which one's going to be better for you in the long run? You know? Don't hate the messenger, hate me, I guess, is the moral of the story. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I have a skin port link if you're looking to buy any of these skins. You know, it's in the description. Check it out. But other than that, 2v2 Wingman tournament in my Discord. Join up the Discord. You can actually win a $50 prize for you and your teammate. Gonna be lit. We're gonna stream it at 200 members in the Discord. And yeah, subscribe if you disagree with this tier list. Yart.